Hello and welcome to Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'm your host, Karen Seltz. I'm so excited tonight. I can barely sit down. Maybe I'll stand up. I have tonight with me my teacher, my mentor, Dr. Jon Connelly, founder of Rapid Resolution Therapy Institute. And what he has done over the course of his lifetime with this work is beyond mind-blowing. It's like watching magic. Every time I watch him, I'm just blown away at what comes to mind, which is all generated by his intention. And one of the things he says before every training is his mission is to eliminate suffering. And I love that so much. Dr. Connelly is the author of two books. He's working on several more. They are available on Amazon. I just want to mention them rapidly. I want to mention them really quick. One is called Life-Changing Conversations. The other one is Grief is Not Sacred. Highly recommend you get both of them. One other thing he does to give back to the community is 6 times a month, he offers something called Solutions. You can find it on his website, rapidresolutiontherapy.com. He'll talk more about it, but it's where anybody from the community can come in and get cleared on all kinds of different things. Tonight, we are going to delve into why psychotherapy doesn't work. Yes, I wanted to ruffle some feathers. So, Dr. Connelly, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey, Karen, I'm so excited to be with you. Thanks so much. And all the wonderful folks that are jumping in to hear you. And now they are hearing me too. So thanks so much for having me. I've been so looking forward to it.
I'm so excited. So tell us, let's just jump right in. What are some of the problems that you've noticed? Because you do have the mental health background. You can tell people a little bit about your background and what you saw as not working, and then kind of we'll go from there. But what led you to coming up with this method that's so life-changing for so many people?
Thank you. Well, I went through the traditional training to become a licensed mental health professional, and I had a psychotherapy practice. I was doing what they suggested I do and told me to do, and I was finding that I wasn't producing the kind of results I wanted to for people. And I was also seeing a therapist. And I kept doing that week after week and month after month. Um, I remember when I would be going, I'd think, I'm not really getting what I'd like out of this, but I suppose I will get it at some point. And I better not stop, because if I stop, it would be my luck that I would have gotten it the next time. Uh, I think that kept me just going for a significant period of just kept doing it. I was afraid I would have, hit the pot of gold um, right before, right after I would have dropped out. Um, so I've noticed a few things about the way psychotherapy is practiced that are concerning for me. I do believe that people are drawn to those professions because they're interested in making a difference for people, and because they want people to be feeling better and doing better, and they reach for what the tools they have in order to be able to make that happen. Um, One of the things that concerns me about what happens with psychotherapy actually concerns, I have the same concern about the educational system. And let me start with the educational system. The thing that troubles me about what's offered within the educational system is it doesn't seem to me that educators take responsibility for causing what their mission is. And I believe the mission is to educate and socialize. Um, and yet, when they fail to do that, I don't ever see them raise their hand and say, yep, we screwed it up. Even with the extreme situations where somebody who, you were supposed to educate and socialize, comes back to school with some kind of assault weapon and kills students and teachers, I never hear the principal of that school or the head of the school board show up and say, well, I guess we didn't do so well with this one. There's so we're educating people with a system where the people who are doing the education don't seem to me to take responsibility. And I notice the same thing going on in the mental health industry. Most people in the mental health industry will tell their clients, uh, hey, I'm on your side. This is a safe place or whatever. But they also say, of course, you're the one that has to get yourself better. You're the one that has to heal. You're the one that has to get better. But I will be here supporting and encouraging that.
And
Um,
what do you think the reason for that? Why do they not want to take responsibility for the outcomes?
well, I was thinking about that when I went for a haircut not long ago, and oh, the place was so beautiful, and this gal was just beautiful too. And she came over and she smiled at me and she said, "Are we here for a haircut?" And I said, "Yes, we are." I didn't know who else was she was talking to, and she said, "Well, then here we go." And she took out this beautiful pair of scissors and handed it to me. And I said, "Well, what do I do with these?" And she said, "Well, you want to be cutting your hair, honey." And I said, "And you will be." And she said, "Well, I'm going to hold the mirror." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." And I ran out and went back to my ugly, rude barber who smokes cigars and curses at me, but he doesn't hand me the scissors. Um, so when I'm training people to be RRT facilitators, the beginning of it is you take responsibility. It's your job, and you're going to do better for that person than he will for himself because you have distance and you have objectivity and you're not right in it. It's like if I have my hand here and then I want a closer look, at some point it disappears. And so the person who has that distance, I think, can make the difference, and that we would do a better job assisting people if we at least knew it was our job to get them better. So that's one difference. Another difference um, is that it seems to me that much of what's going on when people see counselors and therapists is that they're encouraged to be introspective and to think about their history and figure themselves out. And I've noticed that people tend to be introspective when they feel bad. I don't ever recall anybody becoming introspective because they really feel good. Like, hey, I'm skiing down a hill and I'm staying up on my feet and I haven't hit a tree and this is great. I wonder why it's happening to me. Maybe it's something my mother said. Maybe it's something that happened at it doesn't ever occur. So we're not introspective when we're doing a great ski trip or having great sex or really involved in doing something athletic that's enjoyable and involving. We get introspective when we feel crappy. So that's, in my world, a symptom of emotional turmoil. How can the symptom be the cure? But it's seductive, it's interesting, particularly if you're bright and unhappy. If you're bright and unhappy, it's very interesting to sit with somebody who's smart and compassionate and will help you figure out how various experiences that you had earlier in life are responsible for you being in the sorry shape that you're in at the moment. But I can't see it as getting people better. So those are two significant differences. And I could keep going, but then it would be a speech instead of a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. You were saying in our training the other day, like mental health practitioners are looking for the cause of why you are the way you are, why you're messed up, why you're feeling this way, whereas we are looking toward the cure. Like what can we do to get you better? So could you say a
Like,
little bit
yeah,
more
yeah.
about, the RRT perspective on that?
Well, sure. I mean, if you're, if I'm coming to you because I would like to accumulate wealth, we could begin with a deep history of poverty, but I'm not sure it's the quickest way to get from A to Z. And so we certainly begin in the present and look forward, but we do clear up all kinds of impressions from prior experiences. We get to that in a very different way. Another difference is I find that people who are in therapy are encouraged to look for similarities. So, I say, well, I'm really having trouble with my girlfriend, and my therapist says, um, does that have any similarity to what you experienced when you were growing up with your mother? And well, yeah, I guess if you're smart and you think about it enough, probably everything has some similarity to everything else. And so it's possible to get me to be thinking about how my girlfriend is similar to my mother. But I've done my best to have zero in the way of sexual thoughts about my mother. And I did pretty good with that one. And I don't think it's particularly useful for me to try to find it out how my girlfriend and my mother have things in common. I think it's much better for me to understand how they're different. Um, and I think if we can see the differences in things, we'll live much richer lives than if you take all these beautiful colors and put them in a blender and you get some kind of yucky mud brown, rather than pink and yellow and purple and all of those. So we look for differences. And if I could just jump on that one other big difference is um, if you go to see somebody in the mental health industry, one of the first things they're going to do is establish what they call a diagnosis. And to do that, they're going to look into a pretty large book of mental illnesses and emotional disturbances. It's called the DSM-5. They're up to the fifth one. And so they will then establish that diagnosis and tell you that that's you. So you are a borderline. You are a narcissist. You are histrionic. You are histrionic and you have compulsive tendencies. You are this and you have that. And I, um, I'm concerned about people um, ex looking for an identity, because if it's your identity, you might be able to learn to cope with it, but you're pretty much locked into it. If it's your identity, it's like who you are. Um, and and I see things moving and I see the things that are happening that cause disturbance and emotional pain as things that are happening rather than something that is. For instance, if the ball is bouncing and I say, hey, Karen, stop the ball from bouncing, you can, because that's something it's doing. And I think of emotions that way, not just behaviors, but emotions and thoughts and beliefs as things people are doing. And I can shift it so they're doing something else. But if I say to you, hey, Karen, stop the ball from round, um, if we establish it as an identity, what do you do about that? Would you stop that ball from ball? How do you do anything about it? So if we begin a process designed to cause people to be in better shape by creating the identity that they are what they have been troubled by, um, that um, that seems to me again to be going in the opposite direction of where I'd like to cause people to go, which is to have lives that are vibrant and exciting and creative and fulfilling and amazing, um, rather than you are this. And let's think about how bad things happened as you were growing up that caused you to be who you are. So those are differences. Karen.
Oh, is it my turn? I get to talk?
Yeah, and that's I
Yeah, I
keep
want to.
trying to not do that, but I
That's
I
no, it's cool. So I want to share. I don't know if you know my story, but I was a participant in rapid resolution therapy 6 years ago or so. And back then, I was going to 12-step meetings. I was 3 years sober, and I went to a meeting after being a participant, going through this process. And I went to introduce myself, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Karen. And I just stopped. And it's like you were saying, like I had identified as an addict for so long, but it was no longer true for me. And it just got uprooted. It was completely gone. And then after that, I never went to another meeting, to be honest. And that was 6.5 years ago, and didn't really have the issue.
I
And
do think that the 12-step programs provide two things that are invaluable and they do an amazing job with it. And one of those things is that heck, if you get tied up, blindfolded, and dropped off in a cornfield somewhere in um, Iowa on a dirt road, you can probably, if you can get the blindfold off, get to a meeting within 30 minutes. So one thing they've got going for them is if you want support, you want to find a friend, you want to find somebody who would rather you were feeling better than worse, it's all over. It's an amazing network. And I deeply respect that they have done that. The other thing I really respect is that they are preaching that the way to remain, they call it clean, which I don't like because I don't think when you were not, you were dirty. Um, just you might have been using, not using. And I like the word clear, but they, they, they're this way of thinking of yourself as that. I toured a center, a treatment center for teenagers, and there were young kids there. It was in the Washington, D.C. area, and it was a long time ago, but it's still happening. And the kids would come up to me, and I'd see them talking to each other, and they would introduce each other. And it said, "Hi, my name is Joe. I'm an addict, and my drug of choice is crack." And I said, "Shh, one of the counselors is going to hear you." Then somebody else came over and said, "Hi, my name is Mary. I'm an addict, and my drug of choice is methamphetamine. And I thought, why are all these children being taught to introduce themselves as addicts and say that they're choosing these really harmful substances? How about, hey, my name is Joe, and I'm um, clear, and I'm interested in getting others clear, rather than I'm an addict and I choose cocaine. Um, so that's the downside to me of the 12-step stuff. But I mean, I think they've done wonderful things that have been helpful. Gosh, now that you ask, another thing that troubles me about the whole psychotherapy system is if you want to make sure somebody doesn't get where they'd like to go, if you can convince them that there's someplace that they need to go first, it's almost impossible to get to, that'll stop them. I mean, if you're in New Jersey and you say, hey, I want to get to New York City, I want to see the Empire State Building, can you give me directions? And the guy says to you, well, yes, um, you do have to go to planet Jupiter first, and then from there you head back to New York City. It's going to really get in the way of it being a smooth trip because you don't have to go to planet Jupiter to get from New Jersey to New York. Um, and I find that we assign people tasks that are really difficult and totally not necessary. And one of those is that not we, but the people in mental health and a bunch of the people in coaching and metaphysical silliness too, are um, are telling people that in order to get life to work, they have to begin by loving themselves. And so somebody comes in and they say, John, I hate myself, but I know I have to learn to love myself because I can't get any better until I can love myself, but I hate myself. And what I realize is you don't even know what yourself is or who yourself is, but you do know that you feel like crap and you hate that. And since you've learned to say, I am depressed, well, if you are depressed and you don't love depression, then you hate yourself. Um, and so the solution isn't to try to love ourselves, maybe discover essence through some meditative process or hypnotic process, and then you don't have to go love it. You just fall in love because it's exciting and wonderful. But I think we set these up as necessary chores, and people have to work on it by going to sessions that are supposed to be painful because they also have some idea that the best way to cheer people up is make them feel bad. And I also have trouble following that whole train. When people come in to see people that train with me and they're feeling unhappy, we don't suggest to them that if they're going to get happy, they have to first become more unhappy. Um, but I mean, that's common in mental health circles. I mean, where you even you're told to tell your friends and family, don't expect too much of me because I'm about to embark on a journey which is going to make me feel so miserable. I'm not going to be very functional. On your way where? Where are you heading on this journey? Oh, to joyfulness. Yeah, well, I'm not sure that's the quickest route. That's like going to Jupiter to get to New York City. So there's a bunch of stuff that I think we're finding ways to do much better. If you see somebody who is trained in RRT, at least they know it's their job to get you better. And I know it's my job to get people better. And if I screw it up, I feel bummed out about it. I don't feel like, oh, well, she didn't do her job. Um, so I think it gives us a significant edge. Zip it.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And I would love to hear, what kind of things people come to you for and what kind of results they get.
Um, people, um, w- if a child is living in the kind of home that we would want most for any child we cared about, with plenty of affluence, parents who are educated and loving and really want that person to do well. So, um, um, if the child is so fortunate that he begins life that way, here's something we can know about that child. One is that child understands and experiences that he is fragile and indeed can be harmed deeply by all kinds of things. Because think of it, I mean, how fragile were you when you were 6 months old? How about a year? How about a year and a half? How about two? So we start fragile. Two, we start totally dependent. So you see that happen in a shopping mall sometime where the little boy won't go with mom and she wants to give him a fistful of knuckles, but doesn't want to do that in front of all the mall moms. So she just says, okay, well, mommy has to go. And she takes a step in the other direction. The kid realizes he's dead and he's on her like white on rice. And she got his compliance and she didn't have to hit him. All she had to do was show him he was going to be dead if he didn't do what he was told. So we grow up with that kind of complete dependency. We grow up with no boundaries. So if you are saying to this little boy, you are so good, mommy loves you so much, you make mommy so happy, there's no difference he's experiencing between her happiness and his essence. But flip the coin over and the case is still the same. So when mommy says, what a bad boy, I'm so disappointed in you, you're no good, there's like no boundary. What else do we have experienced as a child? We're subject to being viewed, watched, and judged constantly. Um, and I use this metaphor. If we fill a drinking glass with 2 inches of red sand and pour 3 inches of blue sand on top of it, the color at the bottom is red. And if we add more blue, it's still red. And that's what I believe is happening to people as they're growing up. These experiences from very young get activated by things that have similarity that happen currently in adult life, and then activate those same kind of feelings. So your girlfriend calls you and she's hysterical, and you say, "What's the matter?" When she can finally talk, she says, "Joey abandoned me." That's a very interesting thing for a 35-year-old woman to say, isn't it? Abandoned me. I mean, what are you, two? You should go to prison if you abandon a child because that's the same as murder. Why is somebody feeling that when they're 35? Well, because red sand is still getting activated by things that have any similarity. And my goodness, if you want to really activate that, well, get involved in anything romantic, sexual. I mean, I hear all my therapist friends talking about the advantage of having good boundaries, and I say that's difficult while having intercourse. Um, so that activates all that stuff there. What we do through the RRT process is take responsibility for it. We have tools and concepts that flip it around in ways that are fun, fascinating, interesting, painless, quick, and lasting. And so that's what I'm doing my best to get out there and offer to the world.
Amazing. And you have an upcoming class training brand new people or people that want to take it again called Foundations. It's a 10-week course. It starts February 21st. So if anyone's interested in learning this process, it's absolutely unbelievable. And nobody teaches it like Jon.
We've got the things I'm looking to do with it, Karen, is one, I want every student to experience a profound personal breakthrough, a life-changing breakthrough. Two, I'd like you to know how to be with people you care about when they're going through really tough times and hurting. I learned nothing about that in going to school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, or graduate school. We make sure you know how to be with somebody when they're going through very dark times. Three, we want you to develop skills that if you choose to, you can even market and have a fascinating and lucrative career where it's like the best career in the world because you get to make a really significant difference, deal with super interesting stuff, work whatever hours you would like, don't work when you don't want, travel anywhere you want to be, and the catchment area is the whole globe. So I have people who meet with me, and there was a gal in the class you were in today from Ethiopia, and there's a gal from China. There are people from like all over the globe, and people who I'm training are having that kind of reach, and we're able to, even just walking into the room where your computer is, reach and transform people all around the world. It's like if I ever won the $1 billion lottery, I would work additional hours rather than fewer. I would work additional hours because I could pay somebody to do everything that's other than this, so I wouldn't have to, function with normal human things. Uh, but so that's the third and significant benefit. We'd love to have you be part of it. And Karen, aren't you going to put something in the show notes that will reduce the fee for people?
Yes. So if you're interested in that, when I upload this episode to YouTube, I will put it in the show notes, a 25% off link. So that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Dr. Connelly.
Well, one quick thing, take me just 1 minute, Karen.
Yes, you got it.
We do a thing called Solutions, and it's 6 times a month, and we have people from all over the world, and happy to provide you with clarity and ways to get better and get your mind working good and get your mood well. And it's free and it's ongoing. And all you need to do is show up. And if you don't want to raise your hand, we have people getting better just hanging out listening.
Yeah, I'll link that up too as well in the show notes. So thank you so much for watching Irresistible You, Ignite Your Passion and Purpose. I'll see you right here next week.